there's so many applications to the realization that there's nothing besides God Almighty. And we have to understand the extent of that there really is nothing besides God Almighty. And we also have to understand all the tricks that come to be played to distract us and to get us to be involved in worldly matters, be involved in the deception of Amalek, who's trying to take us off track and get us into places and things that we're not supposed to be into. We have an obligation to keep ourselves clear of distractions and disturbances. We don't have to know we don't have to know everything, and we don't have to know everything when it happens. Some things we could find out about later. Because the challenge with the things that we think we're knowing is that we are being fomented into seeing things in a certain way. We're being agitated to see things a certain way, and the end result is that that's part of what gets us off track. Because if you believe that there's nothing besides God Almighty, and then Amalek runs along and says, look, no, there really is something besides God Almighty, God forbid, but they come along and they say, look at this terrible thing, and look at what's happening over here, look what's all this kind of stuff. And then what the end result is, you start to just go into chaos mode, trying to evaluate each thing. And they know that in a war of attrition, that there's a chance that the person's going to get worn down. It's like when the FBI does these entrapment stings, they'll send the person these different temptations, and the person rejects it, and they figure, look, eventually the person's going to give in, and he's going to buy one of the things that he knows he's not supposed to buy or get involved in. So it's called a war of attrition. Every human being is susceptible to making the right choice and making the wrong choice. But how do you make the right choice? Make the right choice by remembering there's nothing besides God Almighty. If we remember that, and that we are gifted with this divine creation, that we are created in God Almighty's divine image, and we have a soul, and that soul is empowered, the direct line to God Almighty, to be able to make the right choices. Imagine if I said to you, I'd like you to jump 100 feet over this building. And you would tell me, I don't know, I can't do it. I can barely jump 2 feet. If I was to tell you, I just want to remind you that you have built into you this super jetpack. All you do is press the button and you're just going to go over the building. You're not going to notice it. And then you're like, oh, okay, fine. You press the button and there you are. The next moment on the other side of the building. That's how easy our choices are. If we remember that despite all our sense that what we have to surpass is so difficult, it's really not so difficult. It's not difficult at all. It poses no obstacle whatsoever to the divine that's within us. The Torah sages say that when a person is going to come to the world of accounting, the world of truth, the world to come, he's going to be shown that all those things that he found so challenging and were so difficult were really, really barely an obstacle at all. Because he had the built-in ability to be able to make the right choices in that moment in time. So that's what we have to constantly being reorienting ourselves, constantly grounding ourselves in the recognition that we have the opportunity to make the right choice at every moment in time. There is no situation in which we are blocked from making the right choice. There's no situation in which the temptation is too great to make the right choice. You can always make that right choice. Don't fall into the trap of trying to say, oh, I got it all figured out, because there's no way to figure it out. They got so many deceptions and false oppositions and people coming and saying, oh, it's over there and that. And then you have all the people that say, oh, it's the Jews that are the real problem. That's a great Amalekite plot. They come along and they say, oh, really the problem is behind all the things is really Jews. They have all these things. Khazarian, Kazakian, whatever they just make up stuff, just make up, no sources, nothing, just write it. People read it and they send me articles that take it as serious stuff. Why? Because people are gullible. They're gullible and they don't do any research. They don't know how to do research. And it sounds like an explanation for the problems in the world. So therefore, Amalek gets them running in that direction. Really, the Jews are the problem. It's really this king is the problem, that queen is the problem, it's this organization is the problem, this organization is the problem. Everyone's got something they're running after and saying it's the Muslims that's the problem. Everyone's got a problem. But there's no, that's the fly. There's only one problem. And the problem is each one of us failing to remember that there's nothing besides God Almighty. Because if we would remember there's nothing besides God Almighty, we wouldn't get distracted by all these conflicts, by all this agitation.